Well, good evening. Good evening. Good evening to everyone coming into the room. Nixie Nix, Eddie Peeler, good afternoon. Good evening. So blessed, good afternoon. Good evening. And wonderful Wednesday to you. I apologize for being so late. I'm not going to give an excuse, but it is such as it is. But I'm grateful that I'm able to come on with Wednesday Word because I keep promising that I'm going to come back with it. And so today I am here. As you see in the title, um, today's Wednesday's word is integrity. Integrity is today's word. Treva Flowers, good afternoon. Satin, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I am Johnny Mac 365 here today sharing Wednesday word. And the Wednesday word is integrity. Integrity. Um, I'm sure everybody knows what's going on and the craziness that's happening on YouTube. Um, and it just sparked me to thinking and to sitting down and going through some notes and trying to pull some things together. I started with a different word and I just kept hearing integrity. Integrity kept ringing in my spirit. So I said, well, let me just push this aside and come on and, well, actually do some study and pull some notes on it. And so, Foxy Lady and Tennessee's own, good evening. And that's what was in my spirit. So I'm bringing to you the word, today's Wednesday word, integrity. Integrity. As I said, we look around YouTube and we see so much going on. And as I'm looking and as I'm observing, I'm seeing that it is because a lot of this is happening because of a lot of people who are operating in a lack of integrity. Now, the dictionary definition of integrity is the state of being complete and unified. When we have integrity, our words and deeds match up. We are who we are no matter where we are or who we are with. In other words, we don't flip, flop, flip, flop. Good evening, Bird, Miss Bird. Good evening, good evening. So we don't flip flop when we have integrity. The White House, the Pentagon, Capitol Hill, the church, the sports arena, and even the daycare centers have all been hit hard by scandal. In every case, we find that the lack of credibility can be traced back to the level of integrity of the individuals within those organizations and institutions. Now, a person with integrity does not divide loyalties. When you divide loyalties, that's called duplicity. Nor is he or she merely pretending, and that's called hypocrisy. So when loyalties are divided, people are duplicitous. Okay, uh, they are, in a lot of senses, they're not real. They're whatever works for them here. They'll be loyal to that until something better comes along, or a different opportunity, or a different group that will get me someplace else. Then they put their loyalties there, or they're loyal to everybody and to nobody. And then, of course, we understand what hypocrisy is, the fact that people are pretending to be something they're not. They are uh, pretending to support and to stand by to stand by you, but actually they're pretending to do that and not really following through. They're not really following through. People with integrity are whole. They are complete and whole people. They can be identified by their single-mindedness. Now, when you look around and you see people who are double-minded, a double-minded man is always unstable. He's always unstable. But a whole person, you will find that they have single-mindedness. They are focused on the task. They are focused on getting things done. People with integrity have nothing to hide and nothing to fear. Now, let me ask you just to think for maybe 2 seconds or 3 seconds, how many people on here on YouTube does this describe? How many people does it describe? People with integrity have nothing to hide and nothing to fear. How many people have we come in contact with? We've sat in their chats and we've asked questions, or others have asked questions, and people have been hiding and they fear telling the truth because, I mean, if they tell the truth, you begin to actually see that they have no integrity and that they are double-minded, or they're duplicitous, or they're just plain operating in hypocrisy. Their lives are an open book. Now, this is people who are integrous, who have integrity. Their lives are an open book. V. Gilbert Beers says, a person with integrity is one who has established a system of values against which all of life is judged. Integrity is not so much what you do as it is who you are. Integrity is not so much what you do. Integrity is who you are. It is you. It is part of you. It is the you that you operates in 100% of the time. Integrity, when you have integrity in you, you are integrity. You are integrity. It's not so much what you do, because people can fake the move. Uh, they can pretend. But when you have integrity, it is who you are and not so much of what you do. And someone's ringing my bell, and I don't understand why my bell is being rang at this particular juncture of the evening. Don't get it. Please excuse me for a moment. And I thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience. So, integrity is not so much what you do, it is who you are. And who you are, in turn, determines what we do. So, when we are integrous, it is what we are. It is what we are. And who we are being uh, integrous, in turn, it will determine what we do. It'll determine the decisions that we make. Our system of values is so much part of us, we cannot separate it from ourselves. So when you can't separate yourself from integrity. Once you get integrity inside of you, it begins to be like the blood that runs warm in your veins. Your whole system of judgment is on the level of integrity, not one way in front of people and another way behind closed doors. Integrity becomes the navigating system that guides us. It establishes priorities in our lives and judges what we will accept or reject. And again, when you look at YouTube or this sector of YouTube, you begin to see that the navigating system that navigates so many lives on here is devoid of integrity. Their priorities are screwed up, and they don't judge what they will accept or reject. Their vision is clouded. Their decision making really lacks any kind of understanding on what is the right decision to make, or what to accept and what is to reject. We are all faced with conflicting desires. Let's face it, we're all human. So we are faced every single day, every moment of the day, we are faced with conflicting desires. No one, no matter how spiritual, and please get this, nobody, no matter how spiritual they are or they seem to be, can avoid the battle of being faced with conflicting desires. We all have them. If we would refer back to the Bible, I think it was Paul that says, when I would do good, evil was always present. So, in other words, there is a desire, number one, to do good, but there's also that nagging desire to do the wrong thing. Integrity is the factor that determines which one will prevail. So when you have integrity, it is the factor, it is the key, it is the turning point, it is the most important strength that determines which desires will prevail, which desires will be the most powerful, which desires we will pursue or we will live out. Okay, or we will, or the desires that we will give into. We struggle daily with situations that demand decisions between what we want to do, or what we want to do, what we ought to do. Here it is. 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 It is a struggle daily with situations that demand decisions, Not all of us make the decisions, but we struggle. That's one thing that we all have in common. No matter where you are on no matter where you are in the spectrum, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're middle class, whether you're black, whether you're white, we all have this daily struggle with situations that demand, not ask or not suggest, but demand decisions between what we want to do and what we ought to do. Integrity at this point, when you have integrity, it establishes the ground rules for resolving these tensions. And let me tell you, if anybody in here has experienced it, I know that I have, so I can testify for myself that integrity in those situations that demand decisions, in those situations, integrity is the ground rules for resolving these tensions. And these decisions and these desires do create tension. They do cause us to have tension. Integrity determines who we are and how we respond before the conflict even appears. Integrity, let me say that again. Integrity determines who we are and how we will respond before the conflict even appears. So we don't wait until the conflict comes. We're already set in integrity so that we are able to deal with it when it comes. We will respond, not just respond before it comes, but respond with the correct response. Integrity wheels what we say, think, and do into a whole person so that permission is never granted for one of those to be out of sync. So, in other words, integrity holds the power over what we say, what we think, and what we do in our entire person so that permission is never granted. It is never granted for one of those to be out of sync. It never gives permission for what we say, what we think, and what we do to be out of sync. So everything we think, everything we say, everything we do is in sync. It is in perfect order in integrity. Integrity binds our person together and fosters a spirit of contentment within us. So, in other words, integrity brings the whole person together and causes us to have a spirit of contentment inside of us so that no matter what's going on around us, we are content. Paul again says, I have learned that whatever state I'm in, to be there with content. Because again, we realize that it's not always going to be that way, and that after this, we're still going to live. So integrity binds our person together. It binds what we say, what we think, and what we do together, and it fosters a spirit of contentment within us. It will not allow our lips to violate our hearts. Let me say that again. Integrity will not allow our lips to violate our hearts. And again, as I look around and observe a lot of the situations that have been going on and that are going on, people are allowing, well, because they don't have integrity, their lips violate their heart. They're quick to speak and slow to listen and slow to respond. They don't listen. They don't listen, and they respond too quickly with their lips. When integrity is the referee, we will be consistent. Our beliefs will be mirrored by our conduct. Let me say that again. When integrity is the referee, when the integrity is that power, when we are in integrity, when we have integrity inside of us, and when we allow it to work in us, what happens is we become consistent, and what we believe will be mirrored by our conduct. What we believe, believing in integrity, it will be mirrored by our conduct. there will be no discrepancy between how we what we appear to be and what our family knows we are. Now, listen, everybody knows that we so often are one way outside the house, and we let our hair down, and we take our wigs off, and we take the masks off when we're home, and our family knows us a lot better than the people outside. But when you have integrity, there is no discrepancy between how we appear to be and what our family knows we are, whether it is in times of prosperity or adversity. We remain the same. We operate in integrity. We don't allow our lips to violate our hearts. We don't give permission to ourselves to be out of sync. Okay? We don't allow our thoughts and what we say and what we do to be out of sync, whether it is in prosperity or adversity. Integrity allows us to predetermine what we will be regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the persons involved, or the place of our testing. In those situations of adversity, integrity allows us to predetermine what we will be, how we will deal with the situation, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the person or people involved, or the place of the testing. We will remain the same. We will remain true to integrity. We will remain true to who and committed to who we are. Integrity is also a pivotal point between a happy person and a divided spirit. Let me say that again. Integrity is also a pivotal point between a happy person and a divided spirit. And again, if you observe some of the things that are going on in you up front and in your face, you will recognize that people are divided within their spirit. And when you are divided in your spirit, you cannot sync up with somebody else unless they are divided. And what happens when you got one person that's divided within themselves and another person that is divided in themselves, they're not going to be aligned for very long. And if, just in case you are doubting what I'm saying, just take a look around you, not only on YouTube, but in your everyday life. Just observe. And you will see, you'll be able to see that divided spirit. Again, integrity is also a pivotal point. It is the turning point between a happy person and a divided spirit. So if I have integrity, it doesn't matter what's going on around me. I am going to be that happy person and not allow my spirit to become divided. Integrity frees us to be a whole person no matter what comes our way. When you have integrity, It causes you to be free to be a whole person. And circumstances and people and situations and adversity does not change who you are. No matter what side it comes from, even if you're blindsided, it will not change who you are if you have integrity. Socrates reminds us the first key to greatness uh, is to be in reality who you appear to be. Let me say that again. Now, this is a quote from Socrates. Socrates reminds us, Socrates says, the first key to greatness is to be in reality, who you are. It is to be in reality who you are. Again, it is to be in reality. If you want to be great, you have to be real with the person that you appear to be. If you are not real with the person that you appear to be, trust me, there will be a problem with your success. Success will be empty. You may actually reach success, but it will not be fulfilling. And the purpose of it will be polluted. The fruit of it will be polluted. Too often we try to be a human doing before we become a human being. Let me say that again. Too often we try to be a human doing. We're trying to do it rather than be it. When you are being it, it's not an effort to do it. You do it automatically when you're being it. When you are a singer, you sing automatically. You don't have to do it to be a singer. But if you're a singer, you can do it. Now, everybody talks about being a leader and everybody wants a following. Everybody wants a following. Everybody wants to be, King Cheese and, head cheese and all this kind of stuff. But understand this, to be trusted as a leader, to be trusted, a leader has to be authentic. To be trusted, a leader has to be authentic. You will never fake it being, or you will never be a leader faking authenticity. For that to happen, one must come across as, in other words, for you to be successful or for you to be a good leader and for you to get the trust, one must come across as a good musical composition does. The words and the music must match. Okay? Your authenticity has to be there. Your behavior, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard me say that how people's behaviors or their mouth betrays, or their behavior betrays what they say. So in order, you have to be authentic. And it has to come across just like a good song, where the music and the words come together, where they match, where they fit. If what I say and what I do are the same, the results are consistent. Again, if what I say and what I do are the same, the results are consistent. Remember, people are watching you. Your children are watching you. Children that are in your immediate area are watching you. Adults are watching you that want to and desire to change their lives. They desire to change their lives. So if what you do, if what you say and what you do are the same, the results will be consistent. Every life that you come in contact with, every life that you touch will be encouraged, will be motivated to make changes in their lives. Now, 89% of what we learn comes through visual stimulation. Let me say it again. 89% of what we learn comes through visual stimulation. 10% through audible stimulation, and 1% through other senses. So it makes sense that more followers see and hear their leader being consistent in action and word. The greater their consistency and loyalty. So when followers see that you are consistent in action and word, guess what happens? Your followers will learn from that. Your followers will pick that up, and your consistency and loyalty will be greater. Your consistency and your loyalty will be greater when your words and your action matches. We have to get to the place now on here. If we're going to change the atmosphere and the environment of this sector, we have to make sure that our actions and our words are congruent, are the same, jive, come together, which will make us consistent and loyal. What your followers hear, they understand. What they see, they believe. I'm going to say that again because a lot of people that I've seen on here have gotten it twisted. What your followers hear, they understand. What they see, they believe. In other words, I can understand what you say. I have cognitive understanding. I can get the gist, I can get the meaning, I can get all the inferences and put it together and understanding and exercise understanding. However, what I see is what I believe. You can say that you have a bridge for sale for $5. Just using that as an example. But if you pull out the deed and I see the deed, then I'll believe you. So you say that you don't have beef, that you're supporting this one and supporting that one, and this is my vlog daughter, and this is my vlog son, and this is an example that. However, it is your behavior that I'm observing and I'm weighing in the balance. And if it doesn't match up, you're inconsistent and your whole image is going to fail sooner or later. Now, there's a credibility acid test. The more credible you are, the more confidence people place in you. thereby allowing you the privilege of influencing their lives. Let me say that again. The more credible you are, the more consistent you are, the more your words and your behaviors line up and are congruent, the more confidence people place in you, thereby allowing you the privilege of influencing their lives. The less credible you are, here's the flip side, the less confidence people put in you, and the more quickly you lose your position of influence. The secret to rising and not falling is integrity. Now, I'm going to say that a little louder because I need to hear it myself again. The secret to rising and not falling is integrity. So if you want to rise and if you want to stand and stand strong, if you want to build a positive legacy, the secret to it is integrity. Let's look at some reasons why integrity is so important. Number one, integrity builds trust. Dwight Eisenhower said, in order to be a leader, a man must have followers. A man must have his followers' confidence. Hence, the supreme quality of a leader is unquestionably intelligence. The supreme quality of a leader is unquestionably integrity. Unquestionably is integrity. That is the secret to being a great leader. Without it, no real success is possible, no matter whether it is on a section game, a football field, in an army, on YouTube, or in an office. If a man's associates find him guilty of being phony, let me say that again. If a man's associates find him guilty of being phony, if they find that he lacks forthright integrity, he will fail. If a man's associates find him guilty of being a phony, if they find that he lacks forthright integrity, he will fail. His teachings and his actions must square with each other. Again, they have to come together. They have to come together. Integrity has high influence value. Will Rogers said, people's minds are changed through observation and not argument. People do what they see. There was an there was an adage when I was coming up that said, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So people's minds are changed through observation and not argument. You can argue me down. We can go back and forth until the cows come home. It's not going to change what I've observed of you and what you observed of me. People do what they see. And some of us have looked at our children and we have looked at other children when they're coming up and they say certain things or they do certain things, and we say, Lord, where did they get that from? They observed and they heard. They saw the behavior. And so they learn by what they see. Integrity facilitates high standards. Leaders must live by a higher standard than their followers. This insight is exactly opposite of most people's thoughts concerning leadership. In this world of perks and privileges that accompany the climb to success, little thought is given to the responsibility of the upward journey. So then, we are living in a world where people get so distracted by the perks and the privileges until they forget the responsibility that has been given them on their journey to success. And when I say journey to success, that means the journey on YouTube or in secular, wherever it is, whatever success that you're reaching for. So many of us have gotten distracted by AdSense checks, the commercials, the ads, trying to make a coin, beefing for $1, beefing for coins, because whether you recognize it or not, that mentality has begun to spread throughout the sector, where people rather beef for dollars or beef for coins rather than create solid and good content. People have begun to make their content solely on other individual content creators. So it seems that so many of us are shucking the responsibility that comes along with the perks and the privileges. John D. Rockefeller said, I believe that every right implies a responsibility. Every opportunity, every obligation, and every possession, a duty. You have a duty uh, with every station in your journey of success. You have a duty, you have a responsibility. Number one, to be integrous, to have integrity, because when you have integrity, people cannot point a finger at you. They cannot point a finger at you because you're consistent. You are consistent. Too many people are ready to assert their too many people are ready to assert their rights, but not to assume responsibility. And how many have seen that? This hair is getting hot. How many of us have observed that so many people want to assert their rights? However, they do not want to assume the responsibility. Because if you have a right to do something, you have a responsibility along with that right. You have a responsibility to society. In the time in which we're living, you have a responsibility with that right. It is not the time that we live in that will bring us down. any more than society. It is the lack of standards based on little or no integrity. So it is not society that really brings us down, and it's not even the time that we live in. That's not what brings us down. That's not what makes us go back down the ladder of success, back to square one, back to the bottom. It is the tendency to have a lack of standards based on little or no integrity. And I did not expect to be perspiring and sweating, but dog, I feel like I'm preaching up in here. Okay. It's because it's based upon lack of integrity. A lack of integrity. There is a tendency to there's a tendency today to absolve individuals of moral responsibility and treat them as victims of social circumstances. Listen, now, how many of us have observed that? I know I have observed people, us, where we absolve people of their responsibility, the responsibility of what they do, what they say, how they move. We absolve them of their moral responsibility and treat them as victims of social circumstances. And it's funny, people always say that this is YouTube and YouTube is not reality. Again, observe. Everybody on YouTube is real. They are real people. They are real people with real issues, real problems, real frame of minds, real frame of frame of minds, perceptions, and experiences. So if the people behind the cameras are real, then guess what YouTube is? Because a lot of these beefs that we observe, they are real. How are they real? Because they're getting down up under the gutter, coming at each other, which is unnecessary. It is unnecessary. When you try to hurt someone off of YouTube, that's a lack of integrity. And then you want to be morally absolved or absolved from your moral responsibility. And then you become a victim. And y'all know I'm talking right. I'm a victim because you attacked my child or you came for my child. Now, my position on the matter is, number one, your child doesn't know me. And what I say really shouldn't affect your child. It has no effect on your child, really, but I'm going to stay out of that. But, however, the consideration is not given to the attack first, because so often people want to absolve themselves from moral responsibility. They want to show what you did wrong. However, what they did for the response that you gave them, you responded to their attack. You protected yourself from their attack, but nobody pays attention to that. So what we want to do, we want to start all these movements against the person who defended themselves from your attack, and everybody is absolving you from moral responsibility and making you a victim of social circumstance. How does that work? Well, I'll tell you, a lack of integrity, a lack of integrity. And then, rather than letting it go, we go back, pick it up, and bring it up again and try to make a whole new situation on it. How does that work? How are people so gullible that you don't do your homework? You don't see what went on. But now you're the victim when you started it. How does that work? I'm just about finished, you all. Just about through. So then, there is a tendency to absolve individuals of moral responsibility and treat them as victims of social circumstances. Okay. And then, with everyone that we come in contact with, we do the same thing. It is the same process, it is the same journey, it is the very same behavior that so many of us have chose not to see. Observe what's going on and stop supporting this foolishness. Stop being led by people with no integrity. Being led by a person with no integrity is like being blind and being led by a person that's blind. The blind leading the blind, they all will fall in the ditch. They all will suffer the consequences of following the wrong. Integrity. Integrity is the pivotal point of a happy person and a person, I want to say that is an idiot, but between a happy person and a person that fails. It is the pivotal point. Now, here's the thing. When you absolve a person of moral responsibility and treat them as a victim of social circumstances, if you buy that, this is what happens. You pay with your soul. When you buy that, in other words, when you support it, you begin to lose your soul. You begin to lose your reasoning. You're able to reason, your ability to reason, your ability to see. It all becomes cloudy and then it becomes dark and you become blind. So now, what limits people is a lack of character. When the character of a leader is low, so are their standards. When the character of a leader is low, when the character of a leader is low, I'm going to say it again. When the character of a leader is low, so are their standards. And what happens then is they make it comfortable for other people of low standards to join them and become what is known as a cult. And there are several cults that are going on YouTube right now. There are several cults that are beginning to manifest on here because of the lack of integrity. Now, you can be high on the hog today. You can be pulling in the numbers today. You could be pulling in the views today. But if you do not have integrity, it cannot last because it is not built upon a solid rock. It's not built upon a solid foundation. And it only takes the right situation and the right circumstance to have you slammed back to the bottom. So I'm encouraging everyone in this chat. I appreciate you for being here, but let me encourage you and challenge you. Let's begin to operate in integrity. Let's begin to move in integrity. I tell you, listen, let me tell you something. If I never say this again, if you never hear it again, if you move in integrity and if you have integrity, no one can take you down. No one can destroy your brand. No one can shut your channel down, no matter what they do, how they come for you. It will not damage you. It will not damage you. You'll see it before it's coming. And I'm going to tell you something by word of testimony, if you will. I have noticed some things on YouTube with my name, which are total lies. Total lies. However, at one point, I was going to address it. I mean, address it. And I have to give honor and props where it's due. One of the times earlier that day, I had heard Leo the Lioness Queen had did a video. And that video moved me. And then I had saw a video by Maturish. And so when that thing happened, my first reaction was I came in here, fired up my computer, turned my lights on, got my mic together, and I was getting ready to go in and call the individual out. But I heard the conversations or the words from the videos. And it was if they were in front of me talking to me. That's what ministry does. Ministry has a tendency to talk to you when nobody's around and remind you of what I was saying that I told you through this individual. So I quickly got a grip on myself. I had to reach into my integrity and said, no, I'm going to let it go because it's not necessary. However, a couple of days later, the name came up again. Totally false. I sat there and then I began to understand that it was a setup. Because listen, when people are beefing for dollars, when they are trying to keep their numbers, once they have run out of the person that they're attacking, and I'm sure everybody, well, if you haven't, just observe certain individuals. when you begin to see their numbers drop from all the hate and all the vitriol, you will notice that they start inserting other people into their commentary to get a reaction, so that now when this is used up, they can go to the next person and try to get those numbers back up. That's a hard life to live. That's, in my observation, that's too much work. When it's so easy to get good content and explore all the avenues to release and to study good content and present it. But this is what people do. People have a tendency to want the easy way out, to stay up on top. But it's just like the saying, the same way you got them is the way you're going to lose them. The same way you got there is the same way you're going to lose your position. Because you didn't get there with integrity. You didn't get there with high standards. You didn't allow your standards and your integrity to make you different. And for people to authentically want to be in your chat. So let me, again, not just encourage you, but challenge you. Challenge you. Develop integrity and practice it in your life. Allow it to take root into you and grow, and watch how not only, again, remember we talked about integrity. With integrity comes, one of the benefits of integrity is the ability to influence just by being integrous. And people will want to follow you because they want to learn. How did you do what you do? How did you get what you got? How did you get where you are? It will influence people not just to follow you, but it will influence people to be part of your legacy. They become part of your legacy. There'll be a whole section of people that operate in integrity because you were integrous and they followed you. You influenced them to be integrous people. So I challenge you to do that. We don't always have to argue. We don't always have, okay, everybody loves the mess. I love a little mess. Because a lot of the mess is real funny. And that's cool to a certain degree. There has to be boundaries. And most people do not like to set boundaries. And boundaries work two ways. And this is another thing that I've observed. Those of us that have boundaries, we have to understand that the same boundary that you won't let anybody cross, you cannot cross that boundary either. So often, we don't want nobody to cross our boundaries, but we walk across our boundaries like they don't exist and then run back behind our boundaries and expect ourselves for somebody else not to come across our boundaries. You have to be first partaker of the fruit. The husbandman, the farmer, the head of the household always is the first partaker of the fruit of his labor. So if you want people to respect your boundaries, you have to respect your boundaries first. And when you respect your boundaries and don't cross your boundaries, people 9 out of 10 times will not cross that boundary. But a lot of us make it up as we go. Stop making stuff up as we go and set stuff in place. And then govern yourself accordingly. And be operating in integrity so they'll see this. They look at you and they know not to cross the boundary. So I encourage you. I encourage you. And let me say this. Let me say this to you all. People don't think that this sector is changing, but I came to let you know there are some changes that are taking place in this sector for the good. For the good. You may not be able to see it with the naked eye, but begin to feel the atmosphere. Begin to recognize what's going on. Begin to recognize and tap into it. Not only recognize it, but tap into it. And I guarantee you, once you tap into it and accept it, accept the fact that things are changing. And listen, we always, and see, that's one of the things about being human that is so great. We have the ability to adjust and adapt. I'm going to say that again. As human beings, we have the ability to adjust and adapt. So the changes are happening. Tap into it, adjust and adapt so that you can be free. So that you can be free. Again, I thank everyone that is here in the chat. The Wednesday Word. I'm so happy that I was able to come. Again, I apologize for being so late, but I am grateful. See, no, I better keep that to myself. No, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. So often, and especially in my preaching, you know, when I was pastoring, I would sit down and do a message, a sermon. I'd put it together and I'd have it polished and I'd have it all good. Went through it and got my my time together, and then all of a sudden, boom, the Holy Spirit would say, no, not that one today. This is what I want you to talk about. This is what I want you to share. And I would have to start all over again, which wasn't tedious because at that point, everything flowed and I just transcribed whatever the Spirit was giving me and then backing it up with the scripture reference and the content and the context. And it would be such a blessing to people. So this is one of the experiences that I've always had, and this was the experience today. Now, I will say this with, and this is just part of the Wednesday word of integrity, today's word integrity. That's just part of it. I have another part that's going to be coming probably next Wednesday. So I just wanted to share that with you because it was a blessing to me, both to outline it and to share it with you. So I'm saying to you all, be encouraged. Don't give up. Don't let go. Just be integrous. Deposit integrity in your spirit, in your being. And I guarantee you, you will see a difference. You will see a different quality and then a different quality of following, of subscribers. So again, I thank all of you, my moderators. I appreciate you so, so, so much. Maturish, I saw J Dot. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you, Rockwell K1, Bird. What is that? Hickle. Oh, I can't pronounce that right now. Ranvar. The last name is Ranvar. I appreciate you. I'll get that. S. Hutchison, welcome and thank you for being here. I appreciate you being in our midst and your support. Yeah, there J Dot is. I appreciate all of you. There were some more people that I saw, but I guess they're in the bushes. Everybody in the bushes, I appreciate you. So Pito, mod up. I appreciate you being here. So blessed. That name has a tendency to bless me every time I see it, no matter where I see it. So I thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all. Patricia Ellington, you know how I feel about you. And we're still holding you and your family up in prayer. Okay. All right, Patricia Ellington. Thank you for letting us know. No Salt BP. Welcome. It's good to see you. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And you are right. You are so right. You are so right. It makes you appreciate where you are. And listen, where you are at this point right now is not by accident or by happenstance. It is on purpose. Because there's something that you need to take in and something you need to pull off for you to get to the next level, if you will, or to the next level of your life or the next dimension of your life. So don't regret where you are. Don't despise small beginnings, because there's nothing big that did not start out small. So be encouraged, everyone. And whatever you do, remember integrity. Satin, thank you for being here. Okay, before we go, Patricia Ellington said that, and I'm just going to go ahead and say a little prayer for everybody. Lord, we thank you for this time that we've been together. We didn't mean for this to feel like church, but it did. But we're not regretting it, and we're not sorry for it, but we thank you. We appreciate your presence. We appreciate the word that you've given us for this Wednesday, integrity. I pray that each and every one under the sound of my voice, and the ones in the bushes, and the ones who have even left the chat, that they would be blessed, so much so that they won't be able to shake the word integrity, and that it begins to affect their lives in a way that they open up and allow integrity to live in them. And we're appreciative and we're grateful of you and what you do for us. Now we're asking you to look on each and every one that is under the sound of my voice. Bless us collectively, bless us individually, for you know our needs. We pray for the family of the Ellington family, that you will allow your glory to be revealed, have your way, send healing, deliverance, and set free. We pray for On-Site April in the loss of her dogs, because we realize how much our dogs mean to her. So we pray that you would help her through the situation, give her peace of mind, and soothe the pain and the hurt. And again, we're thankful and we're grateful. We are so grateful. We are so grateful. We are so grateful. And we say thank you. Even though it's Wednesday and it's not Thank You Thursday, we say thank you because we practice keeping a thank you in our hearts and on our lips. So we thank you and amen. Melancholy, is always good to see you. Designs by V, you know how I feel about you. Love you, girl. Love you, girl. And let us support the content creators that are in the building. S. Hutchinson, Maturish, J. 1700, Designs by V, Rockwell K1. I'm not sure if you have a channel, but check these people out. Check these people out. Renee Michelle, how are you? Thank you for being here. So blessed. Let's check these people out and let's support each other. It doesn't matter whether you club chat, whether you WGQs, Mac Association, Tribe, Beauties of Bows, whatever. Let's begin to support one another. And in so doing, you cannot do more for others that God will not do for you. Okay? All right. And as customary, when we're ready to leave, Victoria, welcome and thank you for being here. I always declare and decree love unto you. More love than you can imagine, more love than your heart can feel, and more love than your hands can hold. And the reason why I decree and declare love in your life and over your life is because God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. But also, when Jesus was on the earth, he said that he doesn't give a new commandment, but he just tweaked it a little bit and put it in one word. And he said, if you have love, you will keep the commandments. It becomes easier when you love. So I decree and declare love unto you. And until Thankful Thursday, practice love and integrity. And you all have a wonderful night. Bless you all.